Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So guys, in this video we are going to perform an exercise on practicing components. Now in this video we are going to perform practicing on components in the earlier versions of Angular. So Angular version before Angular 15. So as we know that before Angular 15 we used to have modules in our Angular application. So we are going to do this practice in such a way that we learn how to practice components with modules. Okay, so what we need to do is, first of all, we need to create two new components. One we will create it manually and other we will create it using CLI, so that we will get the idea of both the ways. How can we create a component manually and with CLI? Second thing that we are going to see is we are going to display them both one below the other inside our app component. And the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to add some content in both the components, and finally we are going to style the components appropriately. So let's start first of all with the step number one, which is like creating our new Angular app. So I'm going to run the command ng new. So here I have written the command ng new exercise 1 dash dash no standalone. So no standalone means it will create an Angular app without standalone components. Okay, it will ask basic configurations from me, so I will just hit enter and keep everything as default. So my Angular app is now created. We need to move to our current directory. Now I'm going to run the command ng serve. So you can see our app is started on localhost 4200, and here you can see we have got our basic Angular application. Let's now move forward and start with our activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my app component, and here in my app.component.html file I'm going to remove everything, and I'm just going to write h1. So now we have done the basic setup of our app. Let's now start doing our exercise. So as step one, what we need to do is we need to create two new components, that is one manually and the other with CLI. So let us first create one component that is with CLI, and then later on we'll create another component that is manually. So I'm going to type the command ng generate and C for component. So I'm generating a new component success using CLI. Now my component is created and I have 4 files. Before creating another component manually, let's set up our project and let's display this newly created component, that is our success component, into our app component. Okay, so for that we know that when we create a component we have to import it into our module. Okay, that is app module. If you see, since I have created the component using CLI, it is automatically imported. Okay, so import success component, and here in declarations our success component is mentioned also. Now let's go to our HTML file, that is for app.component.html, and here I'm going to show it. So I'm going to write app-success. So now I'm going to save my HTML file, and let's see on the front end our success component is now displaying. Let's move on to our next step and let's create the second component manually. So in the similar way, I'll create a warning component, and first of all what I will do is I will create a warning folder, and then in that I will need a file. So I have created a warning.component.ts file. So in this file only we are going to write everything. Okay, we are also going to write our HTML and CSS in this file itself. So for reference, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my access.component.ts file at the side, so that we will get some reference how can we write from scratch. So first of all what we need to do is we need to import component. Next thing we want to do is we want to write @component, and then in this we will write our selector. So selector is going to be app warning. Next is our template. Okay, so in this file we are going to write inline template, so that is why I'm using template and not template URL. Next is we are going to write styles, so I'm going to write styles, and again styles also we are going to write inline, so I'm writing these things. Okay, array and then backticks. Now let's export this component. So export class warning component. Okay, now let us import this component. So we need to import this component in our module. I will go to app.module.ts, and here I'm going to write import warning component. So, and also I'm going to write warning component in my declaration. So I'm going to save this. Also I'm going to write some basic HTML code in my warning.component.ts. Now we need to call our warning component inside our app component in order to display it, right? Okay, and here I'm going to call the warning component in the similar way. So app-warning, this is our selector. So now you can see our warning component is also getting displayed. Now so far we have achieved two steps, that is step number one, created two new components, one manually and another with CLI. Second one, displaying them beneath each other in app component. Now third step is to add some content message in the components. Okay, so we have already added our content message inside the warning component, and also by default we have got some content message in our success component. I'm going to write success here, and in warning component I'm going to write warning. Now this is what our content looks in both the components. Now next thing is we want to do the last step, which is style the components appropriately. Now let us start writing the CSS for our success component. So in our success component.html file, if you see, we have written the content in our p tag, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to target this p tag in my css file and I'm going to apply styles to it. So for that, what I have to write is I have to give some padding. Let's give a margin of 5 pixels. Let's give a margin of 5 pixels. Next is let's give a border as 5 pixels solid. And since this is a success message, I'm going to give it as some yellow green. Okay. Let us see how it is looking. You can see this is how my success is looking. Let me give it a little less width. So I'm going to give it a width of 50%. Now let us just finally give a background color. So now you can see we have successfully written the styles for success component. Now in a similar way, let's write the styles for warning component also. What I'm going to do is, in order to save time, I'm just going to copy all of these styles as it is. And now this time for warning components, what we are going to do is we are going to write inline style. So here itself I'm going to write my style. So here I have pasted everything. Let us just save and see. So if you see, these styles are also getting applied, but we want to give it a little different style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color to yellow. Border color is yellow now. Okay. And also I'm going to change the background color. So you can see I have changed the background color also for warning component. Now we have achieved the final result. Let me remove this app component because this is no longer needed. So this was coming from our app.component.html. I'm going to remove this line. Now we have achieved the desired result, what we wanted to, right? So in this way, we have achieved our both the components. So guys, in this video, we have seen an exercise on practicing of components. This will help us to build the logic for our components. So that's all for this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching the video.